The Rode Wireless Pro is worthy of the Pro title for filmmakers, and save for a few quirks in how you control it, this compact wireless audio system is a great choice if you film weddings, commercial work, or anything else where you need a reliable wireless system with onboard backup recording in the event of signal loss. With the preview of the conclusion of this review out of the way, because I like to save you time, my name is Matt Johnson, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Rode Wireless Pro from the perspective of a wedding filmmaker. But pretty much all of my conclusions are going to apply to you if you film other videos, such as corporate or commercial videos, etc. So this video should be really helpful to you regardless. Also, for the sake of ethics, I want you to know that Rode did not pay me or sponsor this video, but they did email me out of the blue, hey, do you want us to send you one of these Wireless Pros to review? And I said yes, because so many people have been asking me to review these recorders. Getting right into it then. The first thing that you're going to notice is that from a size and shape perspective, these recorders share a lot of the DNA of Rode's previous first and second generations of the Wireless Go. Specifically, I own the first generation of the Rode Wireless Go, and you can see just how similar the Wireless Pro are in comparison. They're basically the same size and have a solid plastic build quality. Now, aside from these size and build comparisons, that's about where the comparisons between the Wireless Pro and the Wireless Go end, because the Wireless Pro has been significantly upgraded over the previous generations of this recorder in nearly every aspect. And that's such a great thing, by the way, because as I said at the start of this video, this is a wireless recorder that I feel like is finally worthy of the Pro title that Rode has given it. See, in the past with their wireless recorders, it always felt like these were targeted more at consumers rather than pros, and each generation came with their own compromises. With my first gen Wireless Go, I felt like it had a pretty limited transmission range, and if you were filming it with it in a more professional setting like a wedding film, you couldn't trust it to not lose signal and ruin your audio. This is a reason that I never really recommended it for pro work. Likewise, with the second gen Wireless Go recorder, while I do not have any personal experience with that recorder, I didn't like that it didn't have a locking 3.5mm jack for the microphone, and in addition, soon after it launched, I heard criticisms about how Rode claimed that it offered internal 32-bit float recording, but in reality, the recording was only 24 bits, and you could technically export 32-bit from the recorder using Rode software, but it was not true 32-bit float audio, and it wasn't giving you the benefits of 32-bit float. And so, as you can see, both of the generations of the Wireless Go recorders didn't feel like they were fully something that I could recommend to professional filmmakers that are making money from the videos they're creating. Thankfully, the Rode Wireless Pro builds upon these previous versions, correcting or working around all of these issues and resulting in a very powerful wireless system that offers many pro features. Let's start with the case. Out of the box, the Wireless Pro comes in two separate cases, one of which is a charging case that holds the receiver as well as two transmitters, and another case which holds all of the recorder accessories, including two lav mics with clips, as well as magnetic attachments and windscreens. This case has a pretty beefy battery inside that's capable of recharging the transmitters and receiver 2 times, and as a plus, you can plug the charge case into your computer and use that to copy any recorded 32-bit float backup audio that these transmitters recorded, which will help save you time plugging in each of them individually to copy them. Turning our attention to the other case with accessories now, inside you will find two Rode lavalier 2 lav mics with clips and locking 3.5mm jacks, which is great, as well as magnetic attachments and multiple windscreen options. Quality-wise, I really like how these lavs sound, but keep in mind that the Rode Wireless Pro transmitters also have microphones built in, so you could use them if you wanted to. Personally, I'm someone that wants to hide the transmission packs, especially if I'm filming something like a wedding. So I would always recommend using the lav mics so you can hide the transmitters. But in a pinch, if you had to, you could use the built-in mic on the transmitter. Don't worry, I have an audio test with examples to show you how both the lav and the transmitter microphones sound. We will get to that in a minute. But I do want to cover one of the cons of these lav mics, and that is the clip that these mics come with. I'm someone that really prefers a sturdy microphone clip, and whenever you consider that Rode did a really great job with the connector of this microphone, it makes it all the more obvious how poor the mic clip is in comparison. In short, this clip is a little bit better than the clip that comes with the stock lav mic for the Zoom F2, but that is hardly a praise because it's still quite a cheap clip. This is a mix of metal and plastic, but my biggest complaint is that it's relatively easy for the lav mic to come loose from the clip. If this gets pulled on really at all, it doesn't require much force to dislodge the lav mic from the clip, and this is a major bummer because then it's flopping around, who knows what sort of rustling noise it's picking up. It's just not optimal. Compare this clip to my go-to recommendation for years, the stock lab that comes with the Tascam DR10L and DR10L Pro, and it's quite a stark difference with no plastic on the Tascam DR10L's mic in sight. It's just a bummer, and this is one area where the Rode Wireless Pro doesn't quite live up to the Pro name in my opinion. Also, while I'm complaining about the clip, I also want to draw your attention to the rather gaudy white Rode logo on the clip itself. This makes it way more noticeable in videos, and I highly recommend putting some gaff tape over it or maybe using a Sharpie. I really hate it. If I had one more nitpick about these accessories, it would be that while the foam wind covers are quite compact, the fuzzy wind covers are massive, and they make the microphone extremely noticeable if you have to use them. I can't help but wish the Rode could have made them a little bit smaller or a little bit more discreet, but like I said, I'm really nitpicking here. Lastly, for accessories, you also get a variety of connector cables that will enable you to connect the Wireless Pro receiver to your camera's 3.5mm mic jack, or an iPhone via the Lightning port, or an iPhone or Android via the USB-C port. You have a ton of connection options, which is great. Let's move on to the dual transmitters and receiver now. As I said, these are very similar in style to the previous Rode Wireless Go, and in my experience, this is one area where they have some quirks. Don't get me wrong, they're still good, but they're quirky. These are compact, they have a nice clip, but when I first used them, I found myself rather confused about what each of the buttons do whenever you press them. Unlike other wireless microphones that I've used in the past, neither of the two buttons on the transmitter are labeled, but thankfully 2 of the 3 of them on the receiver are labeled. It just makes things a little confusing whenever you're first setting up this recorder, especially whenever you consider that there's no instruction manual that comes with it. You have to look it up online, which hey, I'm all for saving paper, but just make sure that you remember to look at that manual before you show up to a video shoot with these things, because otherwise you might be a little confused about how to use this recorder properly. Anyways, once you get past the initial confusion that you may have about the operation of the Rode Wireless Pro, it is thankfully pretty simple to use overall. You take the transmitter and receiver out of the case, they immediately power on and pair, you screw in a lav mic if you want to use it with the transmitter, plug the receiver into your camera, set your levels, and you're good to go. But that said, if you really want to unlock the full power of these recorders, you need to use the Rode Central app, which is available either on your phone or on your computer. Beware though, unfortunately the Rode Wireless Pro does not have Bluetooth functionality, so you have to either plug the charging case into your computer with the transmitters and receiver inside, or connect each of them individually. You can alternatively do this with your phone, but you'll need to plug a cable into your phone and then into the case to make it work. Once you get past this, the Rode Central app is quite useful, and it will enable you to select presets for your specific camera, as well as most importantly, letting you choose whether you want your transmitters to be constantly backing up your audio recordings to their internal storage in 32-bit float quality. Let me take a minute to explain how this works. The audio recorded to your camera that is transmitted from the receiver that you plug it into is not going to be 32-bit float, because I do not know of any cameras at the time of recording this video that record 32-bit float audio internally. So you're going to be limited to the highest quality audio that your camera supports. As a backup though, in the event that the transmitter loses signal with the receiver, or if there's interference in the signal, etc., the Wireless Pro transmitters have internal storage that is going to record your footage in higher quality 32-bit float. This will give you much more flexibility in post when editing. So you ideally really want this backup audio, because this is what you may prefer using over the audio that you've recorded directly into your camera. To get this backup audio to record though, you need to do one of 2 things. Either you will need to press the unlabeled record button on the transmitter, which will light up the record light in red to indicate that the transmitter is recording to the 32-bit float backup track, or you have to put your transmitters and receiver in the charging case, plug that into either your computer or phone, and set the backup recording setting to always. The first option is a pain because you're going to need to remember to go over to your transmitter and start and stop the backup recording every single time that you want to do that. So I recommend going with the second option and setting the backup recording to always, which means that as soon as you take the transmitter out of the charging case, it's going to turn on and start recording, and it cannot be stopped by pressing this button on the top of the transmitter. It can only be stopped by turning off the power of the transmitter, which is great because it can help prevent the person you're filming accidentally turn off the power. By doing this, you're going to end up with some extra unused audio, but in the event that you lose a wireless signal, your audio will continue recording, which is great. Anyways, the last thing that we need to talk about in regards to the backup 32-bit float audio track that these transmitters that can record is, we need to talk about how much space these transmitters can hold and how you format them. See, Unlike other audio recorders you may have used, these transmitters have built-in storage. There's no memory cards that you need to plug into them to copy the audio. In addition, Rode does not give a specific number in regards to how many gigabytes of storage that they have, but they do tell you that each transmitter can record approximately 40 hours of backup audio. And most importantly, this backup audio is recorded as a rolling backup, meaning that once the 40 hours are filled up, the recorder will automatically delete the oldest audio files as you record new ones. Above all, with these backups, you just need to remember to copy these backup 32-bit float audio files from your transmitters after you're done filming, because otherwise, if you go out on more shoots and you've forgotten to copy them, eventually your audio files will be overwritten, which is a little terrifying. Moving on, I did promise you earlier that we would talk about the audio quality of these recorders and mics, so I'm happy to officially reveal to you that I've actually been recording all the audio for this video with the Rode Wireless Pro. So if you like how this sounds through the video, I'm wearing the lav right here, then I think you're going to be really happy with the quality that you can get from this recorder. I've also tested this recorder using the built-in microphone that's on these transmitters. I've been holding it right here, but I'll hold it up about here so is where you might be wearing it on someone. And here's an example for how that sounds. I think it's decent, but not as good as the lav mic that comes with the recorder, and I would really only use this if you've forgotten your lav mics. To my ear, recording with a lav sounds great, and it sounds on par with other lav mics that I've used, like the lav that comes with the Tascam DR10L, for example. Now, of course, this audio quality wouldn't matter if the wireless transmission signal wasn't very strong or had limited range. And if you remember, that was one of my complaints about the original Wireless Go. So, thankfully, the two things that I want you to keep in mind is that, as we talked about earlier, this recorder does record a backup track, so you're safe even if the wireless transmission drops out. And more importantly, the range of this recorder is good. And in my testing, walking throughout my house with over 4 walls between me and the recorder, it still transmitted great quality audio. And then whenever I tested it with less obstructions, I was able to get several hundred feet away before I started to notice any signal loss. So I think that if you're planning on using this recorder to film weddings or other videos where you find yourself quite a distance away from the person you're recording, especially let's say if you're filming them in a very large church where they're at the front of the church and you're stuck way back in the balcony, you should still be able to get high quality wireless audio of them speaking, which is great. Next, let's talk battery life, because these are quite small transmitters and receivers after all, so what sort of battery life can you expect from them? Rode claims you'll get about 7 hours of recording time, and whenever I tested these at a wedding, I found that I was getting approximately that amount, maybe a bit shorter. The thing that you need to keep in mind is that if you are someone that likes to put a microphone on someone and leave it on them throughout the day, maybe you're filming a long-term documentary or you're filming a wedding that you want to have audio from your couple throughout the day, this is one area where the Rode Wireless Pro may not be the best choice. It offers better battery life than some of its wirelessly transmitting competition like DJI's wireless mic system that gives you approximately 5 hours of recording time. But whenever you compare the Rode Wireless Go to standalone recorders that do not transmit wirelessly, like the new Tascam DR10L Pro, when I tested that recorder, it lasted for over 28 hours. You don't get wireless audio, but you can put that on someone in the morning and know that it'll be still recording on them at the end of the day. The main thing that you need to keep in mind is that because the Rode Wireless Pro does not have swappable batteries, you'll have to put the transmitters and receiver back into their charging case to recharge them, and Rode says this can take about 2.5 hours to fully recharge. I know it's a contentious topic, but I'm actually a fan of using AAA and AA batteries with my audio equipment, because in the event that I'm filming something like a wedding and my batteries die, I don't have the option of stopping the wedding to recharge my gear. Can y'all just hold on the ceremony for an hour? I gotta recharge my wireless transmitter. No, I don't have that option. I need batteries that are fully charged and ready to go. So I don't think that the battery life of the Rode Wireless Pro is a deal breaker. I just want you to be very aware of what you're getting, and if you're someone that records for longer than 6 or 7 hours at a time, you might want to look into something else. Speaking of looking at something else, we need to move on and talk about Timecode with the Rode Wireless Pro, because yes, the Wireless Pro features Timecode support, and it actually gives you quite a few options for how to set it up. To start, Rode has tried to make this as easy as possible by giving you guides on their website where you can simply select the camera that you're using and see all the different ways that you can use Timecode from the Wireless Pro with your camera. It's really great, and there are text and video guides, which I love to see. In short, you can set up the Wireless Pro to send Timecode over its 3.5mm audio jack or USB, with the most popular option being the mode where the audio from the transmitter is sent to the left channel of your recorder, while the timecode signal is sent through the right channel, which you can then use to sync up all of your audio and video in post. You have other options too if you want to use headphones, or if your camera has a dedicated timecode input, you can use that as well and embed the timecode directly into your video files for even easier syncing. The main thing that you need to keep in mind when it comes to timecode with the Rode Wireless Pro is that you cannot jam timecode from another device into the Rode. So you could not, say, have a Tentacle Sync device or a Deity timecode device jamming timecode into the Rode Wireless Pro. But that said, you can jam from the Rode Wireless Pro to another device. So if you wanted to build out an ecosystem of timecode devices and use the Rode Wireless Pro with them, you should be able to jam from the Rode to them, and it should ideally work, but I have not personally tested this yet. So that means if you are a wedding filmmaker, for example, and you are filming a ceremony with multiple cameras and you want to sync all of them up with timecode, it should be possible, but it may take a bit of work. So looking at the Rode Wireless Pro as a whole, as I said at the start of this video, it does feel like a significantly more pro-focused device than any of their previous wireless recorders like the Rode Wireless Go. Rode has looked at many of the features that pros are asking for and included them in this recorder, and overall, I feel like they've succeeded in creating a very versatile and capable wireless audio system that should work great for you if you're filming weddings or documentaries or commercial work, etc. The main thing I would keep in mind is that this recorder, like all recorders, is not without its quirks. And if you can get past the learning curve for the buttons, you're okay with sometimes having to plug the recorder in to change some of the settings, and you do not need to record for longer than 6 to 7 hours at a time, plus the time needed to recharge the transmitters and receiver, I think that Rode is offering a really compelling option for filmmakers with this recorder. Personally, I'm someone that has found myself recording audio for longer and longer times on a wedding day, and I've found myself moving toward putting mics on the couple and leaving them on throughout the day to record genuine moments. So for me, I'm going to be sticking with recorders that offer longer battery life. But if you don't need that and you're just putting mics on your couple during the ceremony and maybe for some letter reading, or if you're filming interviews and you're just like, oh, I just need it on for an hour or two, I think the Rode Wireless Pro is a fantastic choice. You know what's also a fantastic choice? Downloading my gear guide for wedding filmmakers. That's right, if you're a wedding filmmaker, or honestly you film anything and you're wondering the exact gear that I recommend to use, you need to check out this gear guide because it breaks everything down into categories and shows you exactly what you should buy with links, which is gonna save you a ton of time. Did I mention the guide is free? It's completely free. You can download it at the link down in the video description. Also in the description, I will link to my color presets, which are not free, but they are going to help you get amazing colors in your videos, no matter the camera that you're using, or whether you film in a log or non-log picture profile. I would love for you to check them out as well. They are linked down below too. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos about audio gear, and have a great day.